Hey, what's up? It's Randy, and today we're taking a look at the KZ IEMs, which are in-ear monitors from Amazon. These are 16 driver, 16, they're actually 8 per side, but they do say 16. And I wanted to know if these are any good for musicians. So we're gonna talk about the sound, the isolation, the build quality, all that stuff, and how they compare against custom molded in-ears as well as other options specifically made for musicians like the Shure in-ears. First and foremost, let's talk about the sound quality because I feel like that's probably why you clicked on this video. So the first thing I noticed when I plugged these in for the very first time was that the separation for different instruments was actually really quite good. I noticed that things had a lot of articulation and they seem to have a lot of space within the mix. So definitely big fan of that. Now let's kind of talk through each frequency band. I'll give you sort of my takeaway on each one. So let's start with the low end. I did find that the low end was really tight and really responsive, but I found it to be a little bit overhyped, like a little bit woofy. Now I quite like a little bit of warmth in the low end. I just don't like it when it's too woofy down sort of the subs. So I played some guitar and some bass through my Line 6 Helix just to test them out that way. And it kind of confirmed my suspicions that they are a little bit low, subby, heavy. Some people may like that, some people may not. Kind of up to you. Next, let's chat about the mid-range. And I think this is one of the areas where these sort of fall short and kind of show their cheaper price tag. And that's because there's a little bit of distortion, at least in my experience, sort of in that upper mid-range. Kind of get this with cheaper headphones that they have a little bit of that kind of grittiness in that mid-range. There's still intelligibility, but it seems like things are just a little bit like, it's really, really tough to explain, and it's tough because I can't show you what I mean, but it's like a little bit grindy in that mid-range, if that makes any sense. As we move to the top end, I found that the air on these was just generally a little bit lacking, so I would like to hear just a tiny bit more air on these, a little bit more presence that way. Overall, I think that the sound quality for these are really quite good for the price, so I'm gonna give these 3 stars. Now, just a little bit of context on why I think there's some distortion in the mid-range. These advertise 8 drivers per side. And while that sounds really awesome and really cool, at a cheaper price point like this, and you think there's 8 drivers in here, how much is each one of these drivers actually costing? The components that are being put in here are obviously a little bit cheaper. And then there's also the issues with like the research and development that you need to have to make sure all 8 of those drivers are properly phase aligned and are properly tuned with proper crossovers. When I see more, I don't often think better on cheaper products. It, to me, is like a little bit of kind of marketing stuff where it's like, oh, 16 drivers. I would have liked to see them maybe step that down and put a little bit more research and development into making those bands sound really good and as well tuned as they could. The final note that I will have about the sound quality is that the output, or output for the Americans, is insane. I had this on like 1 out of 10, and it's like deafeningly loud. So set yourself some limits, maybe throw on a limiter, lots and lots of output. Let's move on to the next stage, which is isolation. Now, these don't have active noise cancellation in them, but they do have acoustic noise cancellation. And by that, I mean that they just fill your ear really nicely. So you have the whole plastic body to fill your ear, but you also have the rubber foam to fill your ear canal. And the acoustic isolation on these, just like purely just blocking out sound, is really, really good. Like on par with the active noise cancellation I get from AirPods. These are like, you can't hear a thing when you have these in. I was actually really impressed because I do have a pair of custom molded in-ears, which are designed to fit inside of my ear and getting pretty close to the same acoustic noise cancellation. So passive noise cancellation, I'm giving 5 stars. I will say that's also gonna be great for like rehearsal spaces or things where you really wanna bring that ambient noise level down, save your ears over time. Next, let's talk about comfort and fatigue. And I think that this is a really, really important category, especially for musicians. As for just general comfort for wearing these, I gotta say, they work. They're really light, so you don't feel like they're kind of weighing on you. The cable feels like a really nice quality around your ear. It's got sort of this insulated rubber around your ear. Inside of your ear, they fit really well. They're not too tight, at least in my ears. They seem to just like fit well without making it feel like it's stretching or pushing inside of my ear all day. And then when you walk, you don't get that sort of like pulsing sound. So when I go out for a walk with my AirPods, every step I take, I hear it go in the audio. This doesn't do that, and that's really, really nice. I wonder if that's something to do with like the noise cancellation or just pressure. And just a general note about fatigue or like ear strain, this does have a little bit of hiss in it, which I think is pretty consistent with headphones at this price point, and that may be a little bit fatiguing to your ears over like a long 10-hour day. I did some days editing podcasts with these where I was wearing them for full, 6-7 hours of editing, and my ears might have been a little bit more tired than using speakers at the end of the day, but nothing that was like overly noticeable. So I'd call that a pretty big win. I'm gonna give comfort and fatigue 4 stars. I got these all tangled here. Okay, next let's move on to the build. Build quality feels excellent. I think they feel really good. The cable actually feels better, in my opinion, than the actual headphones themselves. The adapters on them are really nice heavy metal. Like this metal piece weighs as much as the entire cable. I'm sure it's quite heavy and chunky. Feels like a really good quality connector. The end that connects to the headphones also feels like a really good quality connector. These headphones use a 2-pin IEM connector, which is great. The only thing that I don't like about this is that they chose to put this plastic housing around the cable, and you can see how that kind of goes in with the plastic housing around it. The plastic housing is really nice because it's going to keep sweat and perspiration from getting on those connectors, and it's going to keep the connectors in good shape over a longer period of time. What I don't like about that is that they've made this so the cable is a proprietary cable. When you have to replace these, which inevitably you will, take a look at these ones. I'll do some close-ups so you can see. These are my in-ear monitor cables. They have seen better days. They're covered in sweat, they're oxidized, they look disgusting, and that's because I sweat when I play. So you're gonna have to replace these over time. I wish they didn't do this because it kind of makes it proprietary. This might not be a big deal for people who are using these for gaming because you're probably not like literally sweating. You might be in the game, a little bit of a sweat, but not literally sweating all day. So that might not be such an issue for you. And a couple other things that kind of docket points. 1, no carrying case like the Shure's. 2, no shirt clip to clip onto the back of your shirt. And 3, no 1/4-inch adapter. So we're gonna give the build and cable a solid 3 stars. Okay, let's get into the last section here, which is just sort of my overall thoughts and comments, concerns, that sort of thing. I'm really, really impressed. I probably wouldn't have purchased these myself, and I was really pleasantly surprised with the build quality, with the audio quality, and just with the general comfort of these. I think these are a pretty good option, especially for something that's a little bit more disposable. The Shure's I think are gonna last you, I can just feel the difference. The Shure's feel like they're gonna last longer. The cable is like completely covered in plastic all the way down. The headphones themselves just feel a little bit more utility, whereas these feel like they've got some style to them. They're a little bit kind of, you know, bedazzled. It's that whole like pay once, what is it? Pay more once kind of thing. But where these I think shine the most is probably for gamers, because you don't have the issues with sweat. You don't have the issues with having to replace the cables all the time. Comfort is really, really good with these, and the sound quality is quite good with these. You also get a little bit of low-end hype, which I think gamers probably really enjoy. They're not looking for like perfect fidelity. They're looking for like, you know, to get super immersed into their game. Because of that, I think that these might actually be better for gaming than for music. These might have changed my impression on budget headphones. Nice job, guys. These are cool.